single cut.
This is a gathering of the UTS, not UTS, the tertiary education, TES,
We are calling for the state government
to
also
increase.
shine
They're
a
trying to
greater
cut
light
university
on the
places.
governance
That's
of
my
New South Wales
the gist anyway. So
universities.
let's get into
We
it.
are
We're
calling on the New South Wales government to improve the reporting of our public institutions, to inquire into the governance of New South Wales universities, because what is going on at the moment is not in the public interest. It's not in the interest of, certainly not in the interest of staff, students, and the future of the New South Wales community. Today we have a number of speakers for you. First of all, I will introduce Dr. Sarah Kane, Upper House MLC. I had the pleasure of working with Sarah at University of Technology Sydney, facing 10% of their workforce being cut. Sarah has been an excellent ally, was a former division president of NTEU New South Wales. Can you please make Sarah welcome?
Thank you so much, Vince, and thank you all for being here today. And why are we here today in this extremely inclement weather? We're here because we need to protest the job cuts, the ruthless job cuts that we're witnessing across our universities, and almost daily we're hearing of more. Newcastle, I think, is the latest to hit that list. So we're here to do that, but we're also here to challenge the lack of transparency, the disdain for the workforce and the students, the disregard of the public purpose of universities, and the arrogance of vice-chancellors who think that they can take these actions with impunity. Now, I hope that the senior execs and their consultant mates, who are very comfortably warm and dry in that very posh hotel right now, I hope they were listening yesterday when Justice Lee handed down his decision against Qantas, fining them $90 million. And Justice Lee said that that needs to act as a deterrent for organisations who seek to circumvent workplace laws in pursuit of profit. Now, who would have thought we would be talking about profit in our public institutions, our public universities, but we are, and it's a big shame. And he also said that when you illegally take a job from someone, when you deny them work, you are denying them an aspect of their human dignity, and we need to remind the Vice-Chancellors of that as well. So a shot across the bow has been sent to all those in that building today, the Vice-Chancellors, the execs, their consultant mates, that they are on notice. They are on notice that we are watching. They are on notice that when a union takes on a justifiable fight, we can win, and we can win big. Now, I don't know that I need to go through what can only be described, speaking of corporate chicanery, that we need to describe what's been going on at our universities. Every day, UTS, what is going on there? As my former employer, I have a particular interest. What is going on when management is so out of touch that when people are being asked to watch their jobs go, watch their students suffer, watch their passion, the things that they've invested so much time and passion be destroyed, that they should make themselves a herbal tea or do their paperwork? What is that?
Shame!
How could it be that the Vice-Chancellor sends me a letter trying to justify the use of KPMG, a $7 million contract for the space of a few months? He tries to justify it when we know, because we've looked at the redacted documents, that what KPMG was doing was trying to help UTS find its North Star. What? Couldn't they have asked us? We know what public universities are for. Creating and sharing information, educating citizens, promoting equity, fostering civic participation. We know what universities are for. We don't have to pay $7 million for that. They could have just asked us. One of the reasons I was here today is I wanted to let you know about what I hope will be part of my contribution to the fight that you're in. And that is, to announce that the upper house of in New South Wales Parliament, a committee that I chair, yesterday passed through the committee that we will be running an inquiry into the governance of universities in New South Wales. And I know, sometimes people say, well, it's a bit confusing. The feds do the funding. What do you guys do? Well, actually, we do a lot. We own the acts that have created the universities and set out the mission. So we can do a lot. So I need you to help us. I need you to make submissions. I need you to let us know what's going on, and we will be asking you to come and tell us exactly what's been going on at your university. So please do that. It's really important for us to understand and to try and use the levers that we have at a state level to make sure that this type of thing doesn't happen again. So I just wanted to reiterate that I know that it's a fight that's happening on multi-levels. I know it's a big fight. I know we're fighting against the job cuts. I know we're fighting for the better treatment of staff and students. And I know that we're fighting to take back control of public universities. What I just wanted to say about that to finish, and we'll see how this goes, but we were out here, many of us were out here a couple of Sundays ago, similar kind of weather, and as we were marching across the bridge, there was a refrain that I particularly enjoyed, and that was, whose bridge? Our bridge. And I feel I've given due reference to the owners of that chant now, but I think we could change that to whose universities? Our universities. Whose universities?
Our universities.
Whose universities?
Our universities.
Good luck. I'm with you, and please help me with our inquiry.
I know it's a hard task for you to find some dirt to dig up on how poorly universities are running, but we'll just have to do our best. I wanted to acknowledge the support of other unions that are here today. I want to acknowledge the CPSU PSA. Good on you for being here. We've got the IEU. We've got the nurses. Is there anyone else here? I'm sure there's some teachers here as well. Thank you so much for your support. I also want to acknowledge the support of Unions New South Wales, who've been a tremendous help, not just for publicising today, but also assisting us with our lobbying efforts in State Parliament. It's absolutely essential, and that's why we're a collective and a union movement. Just to give you, I guess, an idea of the scale of the problem, while we have corporates and consultants discussing the future of higher ed, I want to share just a couple of key facts with you. On the university councils in New South Wales, 37% are corporate affiliated. There's only 27% of membership on university councils that are staff and student voices. It's absolutely shameful. In terms of the sponsorship of the Higher Education Summit, Nous Consulting is the same genius corporate entity responsible for the debacle at ANU. We know they have their fingers all over what's going on. The corporate and, I guess, consultant capture of higher education. The former interim Vice Chancellor at Wollongong, who oversaw the job cuts at Wollongong, was a partner at advisory firm Corder Mentha, the same advisory firm that advised Wollongong over the cuts. Now, if that's not corrupt, corporate capture of a university, I don't know what is. It also has to be said that Western Sydney Uni Chancellor Jennifer Westacott was the Chief Executive of the Business Council of Australia. So I wonder where her affiliations lie. She currently holds the position of Special Advisor with KPMG. KPMG being paid millions of dollars by the management at UTS to oversee the jobs program there. What we're seeing at the moment is so out of whack with public interest, it's not funny. We welcome the inquiry, we welcome greater scrutiny at federal and state level. It's long overdue, and I know we're all going to get stuck in over the next weeks with that inquiry. Our next speaker, I'd like to introduce Maureen Baruki, again a member long-standing member of the NTEU, Deputy Leader of the Australian Greens, a friend of higher education, New South Wales Federal Senator. I don't think much more needs to be said. Please make Marine welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I acknowledge the sovereign owners of the lands we gathered on, the Gadigal people, and pay my respects to elders past and present. No matter where we are on this country, we are on stolen land. Sovereignty was never ceded, always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Thank you so much for coming out today, rain, hail or shine. And for me, it is such an honor to stand alongside students, staff, unions at a time where our universities are under unprecedented attack. And it's really good to hear from Sarah that there will be another inquiry into the governance of unis in parallel with the Senate inquiry that we're having today. You know, I have had the privilege of teaching at a university, and the time I was there, those were places where students were supported, guided, staff had respect. And universities transformed lives for the better, not just for the communities within their walls, but also for society as a whole. But now, as we all know, sadly, the opposite is true. Universities are run like corporations, where students are crushed under higher and higher debt, and staff are stressed, fearful, and anxious as rampant casualization, insecure work, job cuts, and wage theft have become the norm. Universities should be beacons of democracy, of debate, of equity, and of freedom of speech. But they are places where dissent is now silenced, those speaking up are punished, where free speech is suppressed, and where staff and students have less and less say in how their universities are run. And I must say that is the crux of the situation here. So staff and students must have control of their own communities and their own universities, not those sitting in there with bloated pay packets. We know that public universities are in crisis, in deep structural crisis. Across New South Wales, 1,500 jobs at least are on the line. That's 1,500 real people. People with names, people with stories, people with faces and families whose careers now hang in the balance. But we know also this is not an isolated wave of restructures. It is a tsunami of corporatization. That is what is happening to universities. And it is dismantling the public mission of universities. Workloads are soaring as staff are expected to do more and more with less and less. Courses are being cut left, right, and center, while student fees is skyrocketing. And while these decisions destroy lives and futures, the people making them are hiding behind those closed doors, guided not by public interest, but by private consultants and lobbyists. Absolute shame. Private consultants and lobbyists who are cashing in while taking the blowtorch to staff communities. Firms like KPMG and NOWS. That's what they are doing. I mean, we have heard about UTS. It is heartbreaking. We have heard about ANU, stories from staff, again, heartbreaking. And the consequences are really brutal. They've just suspended new enrollments to 146 courses. I mean, in what world can that be possible? It is unbelievable that we have come to this stage. Courses in business, design, society, engineering, IT, health, law, across the board, all part of this so-called operational sustainability initiative. And staff have been left in shock, their well-being so trivialized by absurd stress management tips. Wash your delicates, bake a dessert, brush your teeth. How absolutely insulting to staff who give their blood and sweat to uphold public universities. We know public universities are not businesses. They are public institutions funded by public for the public. They are meant to create knowledge, foster critical thinking, and strengthen our society, not to serve the interests of consultants and corporate boards. Yet here we are. Universities are being stripped of their purpose right in front of our very eyes, and governments are allowing that to happen. It's not just the VCs and the consultants and the corporations, it's our governments who are letting universities grind into the ground. And those responsible for these corporate unis are in there meeting without us. There is no representation from staff, there is no representation from students, there is no union voice in these so-called decision-making tables. Just consultants, just executives, just industry lobbyists, just profit-driven interests. The very people that are dismantling universities are in there making decisions for us. And they want us to be quiet, they want us to be locked out of any future decision-making for universities. Well, we are not quiet, we are not quiet, we are visible, and we are loud, and we will keep being loud, because our university, our education, and our futures are really worth fighting for, and fighting for very hard. This rally, this campaign, our unis, our future, is about reclaiming the space that is rightfully yours. Every person here today, every union member, every student, every staff is part of this movement to defend public education. Because we will not let those in there, the executives and the so-called leaders, grind higher education into the ground. We are demanding that our institutions serve the public, not private interests. We demand a higher education system that values and respects staff, that protects students, and that fulfills the mission as a pillar of our society. Our universities are not just shiny buildings or boards. They are our communities. They are our knowledge and our future. And we will not let them be stolen from us. So here's a message for the leaders of UTS, ANU, University of Sydney, and everyone across the sector. Take heed. When you punish staff and students, when you replace courses with consultants, when you collapse under your own arrogance, you create resistance. You galvanize us. We are just a small representation of the resistance that is there in universities. Our universities are the future of students, of staff, our communities, and our society. And we know that a better university run by staff and students is possible. And we will fight for it. And we will win that fight, because workers united will never be defeated. Workers united will never be defeated. Workers united will never be defeated. Thank you so much, everyone. The Greens are always with you.
Thanks, Maureen. It really is an attack on higher education and our public universities that's underway. I think no more so acutely felt than at UTS. I have to say, though, that the NTEU members and staff at UTS are causing their management a world of pain right now. They are fighting back in a really major way, having some wins. There is a saying that all media is good media, but I think for UTS management, it's not really working out that way at all. I think that couldn't be true. So I'd like to introduce NTEU member Dr. Hasai Gul. Dr. Gul's a transdisciplinary academic and practitioner specialising in leading teams to implement change within complex systems. I think that describes the situation quite perfectly at UTS. Please make Hasai welcome.
Thank you, Vince, and thank you, Sarah and Maureen and
well done to everyone showing up today in such cold, dreary conditions. It just goes to show how each of us are committed to the resistance. And so today I'm just feeling super grateful and warm, even though it's so cold. I'm not going to speak to the broader systemic issues. I think they've been well covered by each speaker before me, but I wanted to cover the lived experience of what it's like to be a staff and a worker at UTS at the moment. So just to give you an idea of last week, I'm in class teaching, and all of a sudden my phone just starts blowing up because I have colleagues all around UTS that are in shock, that are calling me upset and crying, wondering why out of nowhere, while we're in midst of consultation around our rights and what's going on at UTS, is there a brand new surprise with courses being suspended. I want everyone to understand what a shock that was, even though everything is going on at the same time. We had no idea these announcements were coming our way. There was no work health and safety risk assessment on what they did to us last week. The insidious nature of the lived experience of staff at universities, in particular at UTS at the moment, is part of that lack of human dignity Maureen and everyone else has covered. I shouldn't be coming to work, staying till 7 p.m. making calls to Safe Work New South Wales. I shouldn't have to come to work every single day, check whether my university is compliant with fair work law. I don't have to come to work every day and check whether my teaching in my course being suspended is within TEXTA compliance. Our university at the moment is at risk of not being compliant with fair work, not being compliant with TEXTA, not being compliant with safe work. That is my lived experience on a daily basis. After this absolute shame, after this rally, I have to go spend 3 hours with our exec reps to understand the course viability decisions that are being made at UTS. We've been trying to understand this since last December. So if very intelligent academics from across different faculties are coming together to understand why management are making specific decisions and we can't make sense of it, that is because it doesn't make sense and there's a clear agenda. So the lack of safety at work at the moment, at the same time we have no secure jobs. The jobs we do have at the moment aren't safe to attend on a daily basis. And we're supposed to turn up and educate future generations across psychology while I turn up to a well-being session where I'm told to breathe and don't trust my thinking. At an institution where we're supposed to train free thinkers and free beers, academics are told in well-being sessions by consultants paid millions, we shouldn't trust our own thinking. That was 3 weeks ago. So at the moment, I cannot even make sense of my lived experience as an academic at a university. I am an early career academic, I'm a lecturer, and I'm turning up and speaking to journalists about lack of governance in my university and how I can't make sense of management paid millions to make decisions for my own organization. And then I have my VC turn up at Sky News. That tells you all. We turn up with investigative journalism and accountability, and I have the highest leader in my organization turn up and contradict himself in a non-reputable site. That was Friday. And so I just wanted to get the lived experience across, the thing that keeps me going. So why am I here in this cold weather when it is horrid conditions at UTS? That is because at UTS, we have banded together and everyone is showing up and doing their bit to make sure that our university stays our university and not a university run by KPMG. I would like everyone else across campuses to band together because this, as we've heard, is both a federal, national fight, but it begins at grassroots on our campuses. We need to speak to our students and our colleagues that aren't here and make sure that we turn up non-fear and resist
the future of education being turned into little factories where we train little cogs for a dysfunctioning economic system. So in solidarity with all of you, and the fight, I think, is just beginning. Thank you.
Whose university? Our university. Whose university? Our university.
Thanks, Asai. Personally, for me, having spent a decade working at UTS, working with union colleagues and staff, and I have to say, spending 10 years in insecure work on fixed term and casual contracts, I couldn't imagine, much worse than that. And unfortunately, that's exactly what's happened at UTS. It is just, the scale of this is absolutely shameful. It's vandalism, that's right. In New South Wales, at New South Wales universities last year, management spent $240 million of public money on consultants. If ever there was a workforce that could assist a management, looking at complex situations, digesting and making sense of information, I dare say looking at best practice across a whole range of areas, it's the tertiary and university workforce. Why on earth are we paying $240 million to consultants to do such a terrible, shameful job? Beyond the impacts on staff and the university community, obviously this is massive for students. The feedback that we're getting, the way that this crisis has unfolded almost so quickly, where students have enrolled and started, with high hopes 2 years ago, only to find that their subject choices are totally up in the air. They're not sure what's going to go on with staff, their mentors and educators. It's a terribly troubling situation for students as well. I want to introduce now NUS Student President Ashlyn Horton. Ashlyn's the 2025 President of NUS, representing over 1 million tertiary students across Australia. Ashlyn was a student at ANU, so I'm sure has plenty of opinion on the current state of affairs. Please make Ashlyn welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we're meeting on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. This land was stolen and sovereignty was never ceded, and it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. We're here because while staff are being sacked and courses are being cut, the people who caused this crisis are inside that summit congratulating themselves. A summit on the future of universities without the people who are the university. No students, no rank and file staff, just vice-chancellors, consultants and government bureaucrats clapping each other on the back and pretending to fix the very system they are dismantling. Across the country, we've seen mass redundancies and course cuts. Over 1,500 jobs under threat in New South Wales alone. At the same time, millions are flowing into the pockets of consulting firms like NOUS. And who's sponsoring the summit today? NOUS! The very people paid to slash jobs, restructure faculties and rip the heart out of our campuses. At my own university, the ANU, the restructure led by NOUS has resulted in more than 1,000 staff being cut. Entire faculties have been hollowed out and tutorials are so overcrowded that students are literally having to sit on the floor because there aren't enough seats. Specialist degrees in politics and international relations, the reason many students like myself came to the ANU, will be collapsed into generic programs. The School of Music is disestablished entirely. This isn't restructuring, this is demolition. All of it rolled out under the shiny corporate banner of Renew ANU, because apparently destroying what made our university special counts as a renewal now. Sounds pretty similar to Reset Western, doesn't it? Reset, renew, that's the language of executives who've forgotten what education is for. This isn't reform, this is rot. All done with staff and student voices shut out. That's not governance, that's corporate vandalism. And yet inside, they have a panel discussing how to manage escalated governance expectations. But governance expectations haven't escalated, governance has failed. And when staff or students try to call that failure out, we don't just get ignored, we get punished. A culture of fear has taken root in our universities where those who speak up will be bullied, intimidated, or silenced. That's what governance looks like today. Dissenting voices pushed out and broken down, and decisions made behind closed doors. And what does it leave us with? Bloated executive teams, decimated departments, overworked staff, exhausted students, tutorials of 40 people, and a university experience that's less about learning and more about survival. But you won't hear any of that in there. They're holding a panel on the student experience without any students. And they're asking, is Gen Z checking out? Well, if they'd invited me or any actual student, we could have saved them the trouble and give them the real answer. Students aren't checking out, we're being pushed out. Pushed out by gutted courses, sacked teachers and skyrocketing fees while millions are poured into PR spin and consultant reports. When you sack tutors, students suffer. When you underpay casuals, students suffer. When you cut corners and put profit over the quality of education, students suffer. Students and staff built these institutions, and we cannot let them be sold off, carved up and corporatised by executives and consultants who haven't set foot in a classroom in decades. The NUS will always stand with you to defend our universities, because that's what they are, our universities, and to make them the places of learning, community and hope they should be. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashlyn. Part of the fight back, part of the many multi-pronged efforts of the NTEU has involved in the last few weeks lobbying up at State Parliament, seeking an inquiry that we obviously welcome, seeking greater scrutiny of our New South Wales public universities. It has to be said how outrageous the situation has become. There are greater reporting requirements on non-profit entities in New South Wales than there are at New South Wales universities. The members of a non-profit organisation have far more rights to, as it were, inspect the books, to ensure that the board of that entity does the right thing. We can't do that at our universities. At the other end of town, at the corporate end of town, board members and shareholders have greater rights to inspect the running of an organisation than we do at public universities. The composition of our councils, the running of university councils, it's top secret, commercial in confidence, stacked by corporate appointees. Absolutely shameful. I want to now introduce Mark Murray from Unions New South Wales, who, as I said, has been a tremendous assistance in that part of our work. Take it away, Mark.
How about a round of applause for Vince and for Damien, who are leading the charge. They're doing a great job. Now, we've been pretty quiet. How about we make some noise? Come on, make some noise. This didn't happen recently. This started in 1989 when Dawkins introduced HEX and fee paying for students. This is a long-term campaign to undermine universities. It's a long-term campaign to corporatise universities. And the fact that Senator Tim Ayres and the Minister for Education, Jason Clare, are sitting in there drinking coffee and eating scones is a disgrace. Shame, Labor, shame. Shame, Labor, shame. Shame, Labor, shame. And in '89 they told us that paying fees would allow people from disadvantaged backgrounds to move through education to get access to it. And they don't. It has been a failure. Free education is something everyone should get in this country because we all pay taxes. We are, and those who've been through uni and paid HEX, in this corporate model, you should be shareholders. You should have a right to direct what happens with the board. You should have a right to vote on pay increases because you are paying for it. Instead, higher education has become a retirement home for failed politicians and politicians who defend asbestos makers. That's not public education. This is a fight that we have to win. This is a fight just like superannuation. When we had the Royal Commission in the finance industry, what happened? The bankers and the consultants, like good old rats, got off the boat and scurried into every other aspect of society, like superannuation funds, higher education, where they knew it was less regulated, where they knew they could make profits and they knew they could take big fat paychecks. The time of unrepresentation of workers in universities, superannuation funds and other strategic entities in this country has got to stop, and I know we'll start here today. Let's make them hear us. Shame, Labor, shame. Shame, Labor, shame. Shame, Labor, shame. Shame, Labor, shame. Shame, Labor, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. I want to now, our final speaker for today is Damien Carl.
Thanks, Vin. Thanks, comrades. I want to acknowledge everyone's stolen Aboriginal land. And sovereignty was never ceded. I won't keep you long, comrades, but I think you should all give yourselves a round of applause for turning out today in the cold and the rain to stand up for higher education, to stand up for your comrades. And I just also want to thank all of the unions who are here today. Really, really appreciate the solidarity. I want to thank Sarah, Marine, Mark, and NUS. We really, really appreciate the support, and that's how we're going to win this, by standing together. Comrades, it's really fitting, I think, that we're here on the outside and they're in there on the inside. We're out here in the cold and the rain and the crappy Sydney weather, and they're inside in their posh hotel, nice and warm, nice and dry. We're out here because we stand for the sector. They're inside because they stand for a warped set of corporate priorities that is absolutely ripping the guts out of this great public university sector that we work in. They're inside the $1 million VCs, the hand-picked corporate board members from the big end of town, the Minister for Higher Education, and corporate consultancies like Nous that, as Vince said, are siphoning off literally hundreds of millions of dollars of public funds to go copy, paste. Here's your report, Vice Chancellor, on how you can sack 400 staff. It is absolutely shameful what is happening in our public universities at the top. Comrades, they're inside and we're outside. And we're outside not just because we stand for the sector, it's because we're going to do something about it. And in fact, we're the only ones who can do something about it. There is a better way, comrades. There is an alternative, and we are the only ones who can make that alternative happen. And I don't say that idly. I say that because we're already doing it. It is only because workers have come together as a union that we have finally shone a spotlight on the epidemic of wage theft that is rampant across the higher education sector. Something that the corporate chiefs of the universities denied for years and buried their heads in the sand about. We've shone a spotlight on that, and only because of us, hundreds of millions of dollars, there we are, in wage theft right there. Hundreds of millions of dollars of stolen wages have been paid back to casuals, and there is far more to come, comrades. It is only because of us, workers coming together in a union, that we finally have a parliamentary inquiry into corporatised university governance at the federal level, and thanks to Sarah, really appreciate it now, in New South Wales Parliament as well. Again, something that the heads of universities have been desperate to deny for the last 2 decades. It's only because of us, workers coming together in a union and fighting, that we've created 3,000 new jobs for casuals across the sector through enterprise agreements. But we need to do more. It's only because of us coming together as a union that we have converted literally thousands of fixed-term workers into ongoing jobs at universities across the country, thanks to our enterprise bargaining campaign. And it is only because of us that we now have a union-negotiated enterprise agreement at every single public university in Australia, despite the bosses trying to take it out of the hands of workers and go straight to the Fair Work Commission. We had to fight hard to get that, comrades, and we've achieved it. Comrades, there is a better way, and I'm confident if we keep coming together, raising our voices, working as one, we can push back against job cuts, we can push back against these corporatised priorities, We can end wage theft, and comrades, we can build a better university system and better workplaces. Thank you so much for coming out today. Let's end with a chant. Whose university? Our university. Whose university? Our university. Whose university? Our university. Thanks, comrades.
Thanks, Damien. Thanks to all our speakers, and thanks to you guys for coming in. I just noticed the blue skies. I think we just got the peak of the weather right at the rally, so well done to everyone for sticking it through. Now, a couple of things to say just to wrap up. We want to do a group photo here. We're here. Let's make it count. The other thing, as well as I say, keep an eye out on the campaign. This is only the start. Much more will come out in New South Wales Parliament through the inquiry. Much more will come out as NTEU resists the cuts going on at campuses across New South Wales. And in the coming weeks and months, as we enter enterprise bargaining, look out for industrial action and strike action by the NTEU as well to defend our rights. So there'll be plenty of opportunities for everyone to keep the party going here. So as I say, thanks again everyone for tuning out. If you can bunch up, we'll get our team here to take an awesome group photo. Cheers everyone.
University! Whose university? Our university! Whose students? Our students! Whose future? Our future! Whose university? Our university! Whose university? Our university! Whose university? Our university!
All right, well, that's a wrap. Now, Maureen, she finds that at these rallies, when she puts on the on stolen land spiel that she does every time, it doesn't go down well, not a peep. But when she's speaking to young, impressionable white kids at rallies for Palestine and rallies for whatever else they do, yeah, she gets big cheers and yeah. But these people all own houses. You know, everyone here owns their own place, if not an investment property or two. They're like her, you know, they're in that situation, so they're not going to agree with that like she wants them to. Anyway, just an observation. A few more of them did it too. There's about 3 or 4 of them did it today. But I mean, that's the group. You know, that's the group, and that's, you know, they have a, you know, the university sector. It's quite interesting to think about it. You know, with the foreign students and everything else that happens, but none of that gets mentioned, of course. And my theory's always been, you know, double the fees for the foreign students, and you know, Australian students can get a free education like it used to be. Anyway, it's obviously a bit silly. All right, all the best. That's it for now. I'm heading home.